The AFC West appears to only have one playoff team, the Chiefs. Josh, how did this happen?
I personally think this is an overreaction, honestly. I don't have much for this, but I would say that the Raiders may have lost there to the Chiefs, but that game was a win. I mean, they could have won that game if it weren't to the bonehead calls that they made, and then obviously the officiating. So the only real overreaction or not overreaction here is, for one, the Chargers are fine. Eckler's back to his normal workload. Herbert will get healthier. Once they get Keenan Allen back, I think they're going to be a lot better, and they're just missing that one piece right now, really, more than anything. But the Broncos, I can say, yeah, they're just really, really bad. I think it's Russ does not. Geno Smith is outplaying Russell Wilson. I think that's something right
by
now.
Far
That trade looks so dumb for Denver right now, and I actually feel bad for Broncos fans because they thought this was it, man. They thought they were coming in and going hot to the playoffs, and like one move and that did it.
They're stuck with him through 2028, Josh. That's the problem. They're stuck with him for 5 more years after this.
Oh yeah, no, I don't. I'm hoping that he gets it together. Like maybe he took last year off essentially from with that team. So I thought it was just the offense, because their team just kept depleting weapons from offensively. Their defense got worse and worse. Talking about Seattle, that is. And then for some reason, the Broncos have all these weapons, have a decent defense, and he still can't do it. So I don't know, because Russ was putting up points. I mean, with DK, and they never really had a run game, but DK and Lockett were still putting up points, and so was Russ for fantasy wise. And I don't know what it is. I can't for the life of me. It's not Judy and Sutton. I can tell you that much, because they're
I think losing Javonte is the nail in the coffin for them.
Oh, that hurts them for sure.
He was the best player on their offense. I mean, by far and away. Now they didn't use him as if he was the best player on the offense. They split work, but you lose the best player on your offense, it's going to affect everyone in some way, even if he wasn't being used 100% of the time, which he probably should have. He still needed to be out there and make that game just a little bit better, because Russ is not running anymore, which is what we were expecting when he got there. We were going to be like, Russ, he's been in the ice baths and doing all these things to help his body so he can scramble again. He's not doing that. And I don't really think Russell is a pocket passer. I mean, this was kind of the knock on him coming out, was that he's not a pocket passer. So I don't know.
So I know this is a little bit of a shift here, but I just want to talk about how this league keeps saying, and you want to know why? It's because of Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen, but this league is switching to a passing league, and this needs to be, everything's passing. You got to have a good quarterback. You got to do this, you got to do that. But it all derives from the running backs. Look at Tennessee. They weren't using Derrick Henry the first 2 games. They got walloped both games. And then they start using Derrick Henry in the passing game even. I mean, they're basically runs. I mean, whichever way you look at it, it's a little screen pass, basically. Saquon Barkley, literally the reason the Giants have won 4 of their games. I mean, there's no way that the Giants are 4-1 without Saquon Barkley. The Eagles last year, literally, not to bring this about the Eagles again, but the Eagles last year literally made the playoffs because they turned to the run game. Nobody's doing it anymore, and that's what they should have been doing with Javonte in the first place. And now I think more than ever is when you start doing that. Maybe they go sign someone. Actually, they got Lat Murray, Melvin Gordon, and Boone. So, I mean, start utilizing the run game. If I'm seeing the way Russ is playing, you got to establish a run game before you can just pass every play. People want that Patrick Mahomes so freaking badly right now. And honestly, he's kind of ruining the game. And not in a bad way, but for other teams, because other teams it's the same concept of Tyreek Hill. So we need a Tyreek Hill on our team. Let's go draft the next Tyreek Hill. It doesn't work like that. Patrick Mahomes and Tyreek Hill are one of a kind, and they're both learning that because in their own ways. So
exactly. And yeah, so I mean, to bring this, how did this happen? They're just starting out slow, and we expected, the Chargers to stay healthy this whole year. They haven't. We thought that the Raiders were going to not, forget that Darren Waller was on the team. He barely saw the field when they played on Sunday.
To be fair, I called the Raiders not being as good as everyone thought. I think everyone got too excited about the Raiders because Devontae Adams.
They're worse than last year.
They replaced Renfro. I mean, they don't use all 3 of them. They use 2 of them. Derek Carr can't make it to the 3rd read is what it comes down to. What it comes down to is Derek Carr's not that great of a quarterback. He's okay, and he's always going to be okay, and he's always going to be kind of good And honestly, I will say I was actually proven wrong by the Chiefs game. I thought that game would be a complete blowout, and I was happy to see Carr actually make that a game. And once again, they should have won that game, but they did not. So I think they'll be fine in the long run when they learn their strength. They're utilizing Josh Jacobs a lot better than they started out with the season. And I think that they can be a good team. They're just not doing it right now. Max Crosby playing out of his mind, trying to save games.
Yeah, I didn't think that they were going to be worse than last year, which is really concerning because they have mostly the same pieces. They just changed head coaches. And that's the weirdest part, is that the head coach last year was an interim head coach because John Gruden got fired because of that scandal. And the guy that got in there, Rich Bisaccia or whatever his name is, the special teams guy,
doing great.
willed them to the playoffs with his coaching. And now you got a new coach in there, Josh McDaniel. So far, not so good. So it's very weird with the Raiders. But Chargers will be better. Raiders will not be better, I don't think. And Broncos, it's going to be a couple bad years coming up here for you all, I think. And
I'm hoping Russ turns it around. I just like Russell
Wilson.
Wilson.
Know what you do because you all are going to gift Seattle some really good picks here, and that's unfortunate. Okay, let's move on to question number 4. Pittsburgh, Washington, Carolina, and the Texans look like the worst teams in the league. Which of these teams will have the 2023 number 1 overall pick, Josh?
It's already been answered. See, this is what I was trying to wait on earlier. If you heard the beginning of this part, it's Carolina. They're already auctioning off pieces right now. The fact that they're just rumors that Christian McCaffrey, might go to the Bills, and Brian Burns might get traded to the Eagles, and DJ Moore's, I think, on the chop block as well. They're basically trying to burn a lot of contracts. I don't know if any of those are actually going to happen, but the fact that the conversation is happening means that the actual conversations are happening. So usually when there's a rumor, or at least one rumor, it's kind of like, okay, maybe. But like when there's 3 of them and they're already everyone's talking about it. They fire their head coach. They're pretty much done with Baker Mayfield at this point. I mean, at this point, they're just looking for that number 1 pick, and they're trying to get their choice of the quarterbacks coming out. I mean, in my opinion. So I don't know why you would auction off all your offensive pieces to build that team, but if you can get a couple firsts or seconds for it, and you want to build a new, younger team, sure. But I think it's dumb. I think that's the team that does it. I think Washington's too far off from doing that. And then who was the other team?
Pittsburgh and the Texans. But let me get to mine. All right,
go ahead.
So mine is the Texans because they're sticking to the plan. The plan was to tank this year out and fire Lovie Smith at the end of the season. Well, guess what they're doing so far? Tanking the season out, and they're going to fire Lovie Smith at the end of the season, just like they planned to do. And Davis Mills has been putting in a valiant effort out there, but he's just not got it. I thought they would make him throw so much that he would be forced into being good. It's not the case. He's just not got it. Like, I don't know what it is, but he just doesn't have it. And it's unfortunate for them. Damien Pierce looks like a hell of a running back going forward for them, but they're tanking to perfection right now. They have yet to win a game, I think. Maybe they've won.
I think they are.
Oh no, they won Jacksonville. That's what.
Oh, they
beat Jacksonville. But and they shouldn't have won that game. They were trying their best not to win, but Trevor Lawrence decided to be the worst quarterback of all time. We'll get to that in a little bit too, by the way. But I think they're tanking to perfection. I think they're going to nail this. I think it's Houston.
All right. I didn't really think about Houston, but I will say Davis Mills is playing his heart out for a nice backup job. He's going to be a nice Chase Daniel for years to come because of this. And I'm very happy for him because he was QB3 before Watson got suspended. So I'm excited for him as a person who can soak up some money from the NFL because good for him. Damian Pierce looks like a madman, but my question is, who the hell are they selling? Who do they have to sell? Brandon Cooks?
They're that's the thing. They can't sell anything. There's nothing to sell on that team. They have some good defensive pieces, but they're not like household names.
No, I think they're not trading any of their young guys. And Petrie's actually been a pretty nice addition for safety for Houston. So they'll turn themselves around. I mean, we all knew this was going to happen after the
quarterback. Scandal. That's the problem. They need that and a wide receiver. Mechie comes back next season. Hopefully he has a full recovery. But like this team's set up to be really good if they get a quarterback, and they're tanking their way out. But the Commanders, they cannot afford to do this. I do think they're going to fire Ron Rivera, and we can see where it goes from there. But I think that whatever the interim coach that comes in for him is still going to be able to win some football games with this team. I think it's not as bad as Ron Rivera's making it out to be with the quarterback.
Well, there's 5 good rookie quarterbacks in the next draft. I mean, they're in line to get one of them, and they're going to do that even with Wentz as their interim. I mean, they might keep him for another year and hold on to that rookie, and then that's the next year he's coming in or halfway through,
Exactly. In Pittsburgh, the quarterback situation with Mitch didn't work. Pickett, not ready yet, and he is going to have to learn, trial by fire style, which, as you had rightfully called out, does not always work, because that class from the Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields class looks like a disaster now, because all of them started right away and they all look horrible.
And it was honestly, how do you throw them in against Buffalo? And then I think they play Baltimore this week. Like it's just rough. It was a bad time to transition. I think even after Buffalo would have, like right now would have been a decent time. Sure, Trubisky could have put up 3 points. I'm sorry, but like it hurts me to like have that.
I could have done that probably.
I could have figured out a way to get down the field to get into field goal range, but it is Boswell. He might have missed it.
Yeah, that's a good point. But and then Pittsburgh, better days are ahead. The defense there still is phenomenal, but the offense, there's just too many good pieces. They really need to fix their O-line, and that's what they're going to be after in this draft. It's not going to be a quarterback. So,
well, they got another year at Pickett is the problem. I mean, hopefully it's a good problem they have, but
we'll see. I didn't think he was that great coming out, but whatever. Not my decision. All right, on to our last question, and this is just to spice up these fan bases. The Bengals and Rams are sitting at 2 and 3 each. If you had to pick one, which one doesn't make the playoffs this year?
Fuck Kroenke. It's the Rams. They look bad. The Bengals have at least actually looked like a semblance of a team. They've just had kind of rough games. Then they've had a pretty tough schedule. The Rams just lost to the Cowboys and did absolutely nothing. And I'm sorry, what happened is they became one-dimensional. Somehow Cooper Kupp still open all the freaking time, which makes no sense to me. And it's not because he's a good route runner. I don't want to hear that. And I don't want to hear it's because he's good at reading the defenses and he knows. Someone should be on that man at all times. You could do a zone with one man. It'd be funny if the guy fell over or if the guy was trailing behind him and trying to get to him. But every time he catches the ball, there's no one in sight, and it makes no sense to me. Put one man on that guy the entire game. I don't understand how you don't do that. But anyway, in general, it's literally one-dimensional. It's Cooper Kupp. It's Tyler Higbee. They can't even make Allen Robinson work, and that's not Allen Robinson's fault. Matt Stafford has his whatever shoulder injury or whatever that's going on that's not been helping. They have no run game. Their defense has been still good, but not great. That team is not making the playoffs this year. And the Bengals, I think, still do.
I agree with you. I'm going to walk through the teams that are current playoff teams, and you just let me know where you think they're going to slot in or who they're going to knock off. AFC is going to be pretty easy, by the way, but we're still going to do it for the exercise's sake. So Buffalo's the first seed in the AFC right now. KC is number 2. Tennessee is number 3. Baltimore is number 4. The Jets are 5. Miami's 6, and the Chargers are 7. So out of those 7, Josh, who would the Bengals take the place of in that situation?
Kind of wild that the Titans are that highly ranked if they were seeded right now.
Well, the AFC South is a fucking tire fire. Whoops.
Oh, true. I guess someone's got to win the division, huh? Okay.
Yeah, somebody has to win the division.
Yeah, it's Miami, in my opinion. I think the Jets actually, for one, the Jets probably also won't make the playoffs because I think that whether it's the Raiders or someone will emerge here. And honestly, it could be the Browns. I mean, the Browns could emerge as a playoff team. I will not get into that. We'll talk about that later in the year. But it's Miami is where they supplant because Tua gets back. They're going to lose a few games until then. And we don't know when or even if Tua is going to be back. I mean, he probably will in a few weeks, I would imagine, but he's definitely not back this week.
If Tua retired from football tomorrow, would that shock you?
No, and he could make more money than he could ever playing the game by suing the NFL for what happened because that was honestly the dumbest thing in the world. Anyone's going to believe a football player. I'm fine. I'm sorry, but you don't know what a head injury is. I didn't know what a head injury was when I tumbled into those rocks, but I'm glad that I had an EMT checking me out to make sure. Our buddy Jake Burns, thank you, man.
Oh, that's true. I think you're right about that. The Jets and the Dolphins kind of stand out right now, which is not great. The Dolphins, the problem is the quarterback's going to be bad. They're going to get out. The teams behind them, Indy, Jacksonville, Denver, New England, Cleveland, Cincinnati. I think you've only got the Bengals, Cleveland, and maybe Jacksonville in there that could sneak up.
I think Indy can sneak up too. I understand that they've
possible, but I
understand they
hate
played
Matt
terrible,
Ryan.
but
maybe Jonathan Taylor comes back.
Agree.
Maybe it's different, but I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, let's get to the NFC side. So Philly is obviously number 1. Minnesota's number 2. Dallas 3. Giants 4. Tampa Bay 5. San Francisco 6. And the Green Bay Packers are 7. So out of those teams, who are the Rams kicking out?
Honestly, that sounds like the playoffs for the NFL right now. Oh, not the Giants. Sorry.
The Giants stick out like a sore thumb.
My apologies.
At the same time, if they keep winning weird games, like I know you said their schedule is going to get tough here, but like if they keep winning weird games, I mean, they're going to be one of those weird wild card teams that gets bounced out of the first round. But
at the same time, they also have to compete with the Saints. They got to compete with the Cardinals. Which both teams, especially with Hopkins coming back next week, it could be the time where they take over as well. And I could see him. The Vikings could get kicked out too. I think the 49ers are one of the, I wouldn't say locks at this point, but the way they've played since Garoppolo's taken over, I think I'm putting them in the playoffs, no doubt. So yeah, I mean, the Giants are obviously the easy scratch there, but other than that, that sounds like the playoffs right there. You got one spot left.
I'll have to agree. After the Cardinals, though, Bears aren't winning anything. Falcons aren't winning anything. Seattle isn't winning anything. Carolina, woof. Detroit, poor guys.
I'm still on the Detroit train. All right.
You think so? I have a bet in for them to make the playoffs. It looks the furthest thing away right now. And then Washington. I don't think Washington's going to win anything this year.
I think they come out of this bye week spicy, fully healthy. The defense still looks like trash, but they're going to put up 50 against the Cowboys.